What's up, everyone? We got a nice afternoon main slate on a Saturday for college basketball here. Lots of crazy stuff going on with sports right now, but I think we got seven solid games that are actually going to happen here for this Saturday. And for finals week, I think it's a pretty decent slate. I got my boy Gavin here. Gav, what's going on?
Oh man, just another painful Saturday morning over here. Haven't quite turned the corner yet on towards the beers, but we almost had a damn good slate, and then Draftkings just is going to Draftkings and just took a shit right on our chest with the UNC UCLA game. So it's an interesting slate. It kind of went from I think a really fun slate to a little bit more kind of lineup construction based, but let's dig in and we'll find out.
Yeah, not having UNC Kentucky is pretty brutal, but at least we can bet on that game. I think we're both on the UNC side there, so we'll put that out there from the jump. I think that we have a couple bets today that we're more confident in than a couple from last week. So we'll kind of sprinkle those in as we go through the games. But yeah, I'm not sure where it is now. Do you, Gavin? I know that we hit UNC yesterday at plus 1.5 or so.
I mean, it was like Kentucky -3 last time I think I looked. So
Oh
we
wow,
lost
yeah,
1.5. I don't even really care, frankly. I think the just wrong team is favored, but
yeah, same.
we'll get into these games where we can actually make some goddamn money on DFS for.
Yeah, if y'all tuned in last night, Gavin and I had pretty much the Stones. Gavin won the 2-2-2 on DraftKings with my lineup. This rat bastard just stole my lineup. Actually, no, we didn't talk that much yesterday and ended up on the same team. So those are the slates where you just know it's going to be a good one. But just wanted to let everyone know, this is a free show. The SaberSim deal has expired, but we still have RPS Heater 25, which gives you 25% off your first payment on a monthly subscription. Every day for college basketball, I've got Cores, a playbook, which basically outlines the entire slate, walk through each game. So I think that's a good value. But Gavin, let's dive into the slate. We got 7 games here. First one is Notre Dame, Indiana. I'm seeing Indiana -4.5. Totals at 133. That seems a bit light to me. What are your initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Indiana, obviously an extremely good defensive team this year, just under the new regime without Archie there. But they're at a spot when you talk about that favorite and that line kind of in that late game free throw corridor, and a team being 238 in free throw percentage, which I think is actually upticked or improved over the last couple of weeks. But Indiana can turn the ball over a little bit, 239 or 293rd in turnover percentage, and they don't shoot a ton of threes. Obviously they got Trace Jackson Davis, but I think with this game being quote unquote on a semi-neutral, being right in Indiana's backyard, I kind of tend to think that Notre Dame, just the way that their offense is going and how much they're really relying on Blake Wesley, I think that they're going to have some issues this game. You got, pretty much a better, more athletic version of Nate Laszewski in Race Thompson. You got a more active, better offensive threat than Paul Atkinson and TJD. And, Xavier Johnson, for as long as he's going to stay in the game and not foul, he's going to make those guards' lives miserable throughout the game. So, tend to lean Indiana's side. I didn't bet it because I just have such a phobia with these horrid free throw shooting teams being right around that 3 to 5 favorite range. So ultimately didn't bet, but I think we still got a couple obvious plays here.
Yeah, I actually did take Indiana yesterday. I think it opened 3.5.
Yeah.
I just like that side. Just not a fan of this Notre Dame team much. They burned us last Saturday in that Kentucky game, but that that was just kind of an odd game. I think Indiana kind of smacks them here. But going on to the DFS side, I think we got some interesting pricing on both sides. The Notre Dame side, we know that they're going to play 6, maybe 7 guys, which introduces some value for us. Starting with Wesley, who you mentioned, the freshman is basically kind of taken over like the lead usage on this team lately, which you don't usually see that much from Power Five teams. Just like a freshman that you didn't think was going to be a main player, just kind of step in and just kind of take over, right? Played 30 minutes last game. I think it's to the point, Gavin, where he's forced himself onto the court for 30 plus minutes a game, leading the team in usage last three, 22% shot rate. The peripherals are decent. I think this is a good spot to use him here. I think, so one thing that Gavin and I like to talk about is who's going to be 1,000 more next slate. I think that this is, we're running out of days where we're going to be able to play Blake Wesley in the 4Ks. What about you?
Yeah, he probably should have been above 5K like 2 slates ago. I think it was the Illinois game where, I mean, their offense was real devoid that entire time. And he just kind of just said, screw it, I'm going to take the reins. Took up 12 shots, went 9 for 12, and pretty much hasn't looked back in terms of being the main guy for that offense. And Prentice Hub is so mentally broken. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know why Prentice is 5'3" and Blake's 4'3". I mean, frankly, the prices should be switched. Wesley, I think, is one of the easiest plays, if not the easiest pay down on the entire slate.
Yeah, same. Do you have any interest in, like a Dane Goodwin or anyone here, or is it just Wesley and pass on the Notre Dame side
you
for
get
you?
Goodwin sub 6K. Goodwin and Ryan are kind of similar guys. I think they're always going to provide you relatively safe floors, just given their minutes, the mild usage, and they have a little bit of peripheral upside, although it's not kind of massive ceiling slate breaking.
Goodwin's got a 21% shot rate last three.
Yeah, I like Dane Goodwin. I played him, I think, a slate or two ago, and he was like, he was he 5'8" on the Kentucky one when I played him. But
yeah, so just a quick question. So Indiana's got the second best interior defense. So against 2-point percentage, they're second on KenPom. Does that change anything for you with wanting to play someone like Goodwin?
You're saying someone that has at least more upside for 3-pointers and not trying to go one of the big guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Indiana's got one of the softest strength of schedules for kind of these major Power 5 guys. I know they played a couple of good games, but their non-con has been pretty soft when you kind of remove that Wisconsin game too. So, that's, I think, a little bit skewed, but 2-point percentage in terms of offense and 2 points deep of defensive percentage, I think, are more proxies of the quality of the shots that you're getting, more so than just true. How many are we actually converting. So I do like that. Indiana's, I think, top 25 in adjusted shot quality. So it's just probably not the fact that Wesley is right there at his price. You're not playing Ryan or Goodwin in lieu of him. So the question is, are you playing them in addition to him? And for me, it's just no.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a Wesley and pass team. Let's go to Indiana real quick. TJD 8-4, I think still too cheap.
He's pretty good at basketball. Just keep jamming him.
Yeah, he hasn't really been pushed the last couple games. Let me pull up his log. I'm sure they're still good, but this is a guy who, if Notre Dame is able to keep this game close, I think his floor is like 35 here.
Yeah, he should walk to a pretty easy 30, I imagine. So
yeah,
but he's got upside he's at a 50, he's at a 60+ game. I mean, the guy could just nuke a slate. And when we're somewhat devoid of spend up options, I think on this slate, they're a little bit hairy. I think you got to look at TJD as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we had that UNC Kentucky game, we would have had some nice spend up options, but they fucked us on that. So we got TJD here at 8-4. Gavin, I think he might be a core play for me, just due to the context of the slate. The usage, as we know, is out of this world. His rebounding has been, races is stealing more rebounds than I would like, but I think TJD is gonna be a core for me. Outside of him, is there anyone else that you're looking to today on Indiana?
Oh boy, ready for this one? How about?
I don't think so. Miller Kopp.
3.8K. The dude, is basically a 3-point shooter for them at this point, and stays on the floor to keep spacing with TJD down low. Okay, Notre Dame, 334th in defensive 3-point percentage, 38, 39% pretty much. I mean, so it's there to be had. I have looked at weirder plays in my DFS career than Miller Kopp at 3.8 right here, depending on if you want to try and go completely stars and scrubs. I was kind of at first going Kopp and Wesley and trying to jam some of the studs towards the back end of the slate. But, the more you think about it, it's like, damn, TJD could completely bury you in the first game. And that's not where you want to be. So I'm probably getting them in.
Yeah, same. We can't talk about Indiana without mentioning our guy, Xavier Johnson. Just kind of too volatile for a main team, but can definitely just completely dick kick the slate for you. Or pick up 3 fouls in 9 minutes and you go to the bar early. So I think that's it for me on this game. It's going to be Wesley, TJD, Xavier. I think is an awesome GPP play. Anytime he's under 6K, he's 5'6" today, Gavin. I think you could play Race or Kopp in a GPP too. I just think that Indiana plays really well here. But we will move on. Next game was supposed to be the UNC game. That's not happening, obviously. So let's move to Georgia Tech, USC. I'm seeing USC is a 8.5-point favorite. I kind of like the Georgia Tech side there on the spread. A 134.5 total. What are your overall thoughts on the game, Kevin?
Yeah, Georgia Tech's coming off 3 straight losses. They got blown out by LSU in that Atlanta tourney, which was kind of a semi-home game for them. They get blown out by UNC at home, but then they fight Wisconsin to only lose by 4 at home. Like what has Georgia Tech really shown us? A win on the road versus Georgia in a rivalry game. I mean, I still don't know how much I can really believe in this team, especially with how much it's centered around one guy in Michael DeVoe, and obviously at worst, one of the top 50 players in the country, probably in the top 25 discussion. Certainly one of the best scorers. But, the one thing that worries me in terms of stylistic matchup is, Georgia Tech's 321st in 3-point rate. Now, they are 28th in the country in terms of the percent that they're converting, but they're not shooting very many threes. If they're going to try and beat USC on the interior when Georgia Tech's biggest body above 6'7", who's playing more than 15% of team minutes, is Rodney Howard, who is as foul prone as they
that's
get.
our boy.
So
Rodney.
It could be tough. I think SC's, they had the sleepy first half against Long Beach State where they allowed Long Beach State to score a bunch. Then they kind of kicked him in the second. They got down to UCI pretty big early by like 10 late in the first half, and then kind of took over in the second half. I almost wonder if it's a little bit of a buy low, but I'm not really looking to lay 8.5 right here. It could be a funky game with that Georgia Tech,
is this a neutral
defense?
Do you know if this is a neutral game? It is a neutral.
I believe it is. What's on the
Yep. They're playing in Phoenix. Actually cashed that UC Irvine. I took them plus 11.5. That was in the Discord. I thought it was a good spot. Good defensive team. This is kind of a weird matchup here, Gavin. Like you said, the way to beat USC is definitely not inside. Pretty sure the only guy taking threes right now for Georgia Tech is DeVoe, right? Last Saturday.
Yeah, Usher tosses up a couple, but
kind of got boned with, like, he hurt like his wrist or his hand in the first half and basically didn't do anything the rest of the game. So they haven't played since then. I haven't heard anything. I'm not sure if you have on DeVoe. Have you seen anything?
I haven't. No, not since then.
I know that he's going to play, but it's going to be tough for me to pay 8.5 in a tough matchup. I think USC is probably a top 10 defense in the country. He's going to play every minute, but if you watch that LSU game, he was just on the court in the second half. He wasn't taking shots. He wasn't handling the ball. He was, he was playing the Kyle Sturdivant role, So, unless we get like a warm and fuzzy before the game, he's going to project well just because he's so active, in his rates. But it's going to be tough for me to pay 8.5. are you playing him over TJD? I don't think so.
I don't think so for this game environment against the SC defense. I mean, you got
It's
another
a
thing to keep in mind. I mean, SC is the third tallest team in the country. I mean, they run a really tall front line. Drew Peterson, for what he lacks in foot speed and quick twitch, he is 6'9". Boogie Ellis is obviously the small guy at 6'3", but Isaiah White will get rolled out there at 6'7". You got Agbon Polo, who's a super lanky, pretty springy 6'9". Like Isaiah Mobley can switch pretty much 1 through 5, probably more 2 through 5. And then Chavez Goodwin is 6'9". So they're going to be shooting over a pretty tall front line there as well.
Yeah, I keep looking for a spot for USC to trip up. I think it might be on Tuesday against Oklahoma State. I think that might be our spot there. So projection, or actually real quick, Gavin, someone in the chat is asking if you're going to be on Keg's show today for the UFC and the NFL.
Oh, I have no idea. After this show, I'm going to open my first beer, and I'm going to then reassess what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. Stay tuned.
All right. So on Georgia Tech, before we move on, so I think DeVoe, you have to consider him. I have concerns about the wrist. Usher's price is down. If DeVoe is at all hampered, Gavin, I think Usher's a really good GPP play. He's under 7K now. He's going to play the entire game. Rates will obviously go up if DeVoe is standing in the corner. Looking at projections real quick, the guy who pops on projections is Khalid Moore at 3K, playing 30 minutes. Do you have any interest there, or have you built much? Do we need a 3K guy that's going to give us 12?
No, at least for what I've built so far at this point, no. There's a lot of spend downs that make sense on this slate. I don't know that Dallin Coleman is a horrible play at 3-1. Like who he can at least score, especially if DeVoe is hampered, like you said. I mean, you can roll in the mud with a couple plays here. Like, Rodney Howard, 4'6", he's going to need to be out there every single minute that he's not in foul trouble for them to have any chance to compete with SC. So, he should be a little bit more involved than usual. I mean, I can make a case for all three of them. Do we need them? Like, I don't know.
I think it's
really make me feel good. Yeah,
and
then you look
on
at
a larger slate
Usher,
go ahead. Sorry.
You look at Usher, and at his price range in a vacuum, sure, it's a good play, but we're going to get to the next game, and you're going to see a couple guys around that same price range that he's going to be tough to play over.
All right, so let's go to the USC side. I see a couple guys who I think are in consideration. Your boy Chavez at 6K now. I'm not sure if you can afford him there, even though he is playing his ass off. I'm not.
He's like 29. He should be bullying people down low.
Yeah, I'm not a Drew Peterson guy, but he projects for more than 4x. And then you got iMob under 9K. Really, man, he's been awesome. He has actually played better than I thought he was going to be this year. Definitely all Pac-12. Maybe you think he's probably Pac-12 player of the year right now. He's going to play the entire game. He's probably going to give you 35 to 45 here. You just got to prioritize. So I think I would definitely play Mobley over DeVoe here. What about you?
Correct. I would as well. I just think that Mobley's floor has just been so good this year. He's just on like a revenge tour of, you guys all made me sit in the corner and not get any attention while my little brother was, in the spotlight every day. Well, now it's my turn, and he's just shit kicking everybody.
Yeah. So last 23% shot rate, 32% rebound rate, 17% assist rate in 36 plus minutes a game. You're just, man,
he's on a mission.
Team total above 70. I like Mobley a lot here. Anyone else on USC before we move on?
Not really. I think that's going to be kind of a little bit uglier of a game. Two pretty solid defenses and offenses that can go a little bit absent at times. So I'm not too interested. Chavez is up. Agbon Polo, maybe you mix him in some GPP, just be a little bit over the field for him. Outside of that, I don't know. It's a pretty ugly rotation outside of kind of the first couple guys. But Boogie Ellis, he's had some big games, but he's kind of cooled off lately and hasn't been as involved. but kind of another GPP that I wouldn't mind being a little bit over the field on.
Yep. Yeah, for me, it's probably Mobley only, but I don't play that many lineups. So let's move on. We got Marquette Xavier. This is gonna be an awesome game, I think, like an awesome real life game. Looking at the spread and the total, I'm seeing Xavier minus 10.5. Wow. Total 150.5. Gavin, that seems a bit heavy to me on total. What are your thoughts on this game overall?
Yeah, and I think the total's gone up, right? Yeah, it's gone up a couple points. So, it's taking money. I mean, boy, if this game doesn't smell like Syracuse and Georgetown,
yeah,
I don't know what does. Biggest total on the slate, one player at 8K. I mean, this is literally 9 to 10 people in play in this game, and it's pretty much kind of pick and choose what you want and what works within your given lineup. There's a lot of guys that I can make cases for to play in this game, even in a one lineup scenario.
Yeah, same. So Xavier's playing faster than they have in the past. Obviously, Marquette's playing fast with the press now. Marquette's taken a ton of threes. Xavier, I will say, is really good defensively inside, which kind of bums me out because I'm sitting here and I'm, staring at our boy, Justin Lewis, whose price somehow has come down since we last saw him on the slate. He's at 6'8". Man, I think Justin Lewis is an awesome play today. I think he walks to 30 here. What do you think about the DFS plays on Marquette, starting with Lewis?
Yeah, I got Lewis in sub 7K. That's a play. No question about it for me. And I'm as big of a Justin Lewis guy as there is. So look, there's when you look at Marquette, I think Marcel is priced out a little bit.
Yeah, same.
But then I look at Tyler Kolek. Okay, you want some numbers? You want some numbers on our boy Tyler Kolek?
Hit me.
He is 5 of his last 39 from the field. In the West Virginia game, he scored 18. He went 7 to 12 from the field. Since then, he is 5 of 39, but it's providing some good peripheral upside. And God forbid the Mutt actually sinks a couple shots. Kind of interesting. I think he's in play.
So do you think that so you think he's due for regression, or you're just not sold that he's got to be
due for some positive regression? I don't think he's that bad of a shooter. I mean, shit, maybe I'm wrong, but just with Xavier being a little bit more susceptible on the perimeter, I think Kolek is due for some positive regression, but I'm not playing him in a one lineup scenario when Lewis is 700 more.
Yeah, so that's what I was just going to say is, he's above 6K. He's got a 9% shot rate, dude. I'm just not sure I can pay 6K for a guy who just doesn't shoot. You're relying on assists and him. I buy that the shots will start falling. I think I'm just going to take Lewis and move on here, though. But there's some GPP plays. I guess you could play our friend Matt Kajeski's boy Kirk Kuath at 3.6. If you really
he's going to project well at that price. It's basically the same play as a Cook.
I was bummed to see that Cam Jones only played 15 minutes last game. I thought that he was on the ascent, but I guess Greg Elliott's back, so that makes sense. He's just directly stealing minutes. So I think that Greg Elliott at 3K, you could definitely play. I think he plays 25 minutes here, even though I think he's kind of shitty. I think that he could be a tournament punt if you want to do a Stars and Scrubs lineup. Moving over to Xavier, man, this is a really good team, dude. This team is better than I thought they were going to be. I think that losing someone like Kai Tandy has actually helped them. You're getting more minutes from guys who we really like, right? Scruggs can play the whole game. Colby Jones, I know, has impressed you. You get Nunji on the court for 20 plus. Fremantle's back. Odom's back. Nate Johnson just killed my Tech team. He had 8 threes in that game. This is a team that I think is really, really dangerous. They got four guys that I really like. What are your thoughts overall on them as a team, and then for the slate?
Yeah, they're going to be sneaky, man. And I almost thought that there was still a buy low opportunity on them, given that Fremantle hasn't been fully integrated, and that's probably when they get humming. because the thing is, both him and Nunji can play away from the basket. I mean, they both can play in a high-low scenario, which just gives you a lot of versatility. You know, you splash in Jerome Hunter and Deontay Miles. I mean, you got a nice front court right there. And without Kai, I mean, it opens up the floor for Kunkel and Dwan Odom, who've been hitting. And, you know, whenever Nate Johnson gets hot, it's a scary team. And there's a lot of guys obviously in play here. And in most normal scenarios, I would just be power stacking Scruggs, Fremantle, and Justin Lewis from this game, and maybe like a Greg Elliott for some relief. But the thing is, you know, Colby Jones's emergence has, I guess, not necessitated Paul Scruggs to be as much of an alpha on the offensive end.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, the way that Marquette can cough it up, I mean, he could be in for a pretty big steal game here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he, you know, got 3, 4, 5 steals in this spot to at least give you some floor. It's going to be hard for me not to pay for 7.4 for Paul Scruggs, man. I mean, how low does his price have to be in the nut game for us to not play him? You know, Fremantle's one thing coming back from injury. I got to play Scruggs, man.
So my question with Xavier, right, is exactly what we're talking about. This is kind of like the deal with like a Texas and a couple teams. You know, when you have so many good players, they all need usage. You know, we were jamming Scruggs last year because he was the guy. It was him and Fremantle, and they didn't have shit else. But, you know, Kunkel's taking shots, Odom's taking shots, Nate Johnson's taking shots. Looking at the projection, so Scruggs projects for under 4x here, Gavin. I think that he's a really good tournament play just because the game is so good. And I feel like this type of game is the game environment that Scruggs is going to thrive in, right? You know, you pace him up.
He's up and down, yep.
He's going to have the ball in his hands more. But I'm weary because this team is really spreading out minutes right now, Gavin. I think he's the only guy who hits 30 minutes in this game, honestly. So I think this is a great GPP game. Not sure if I'm going to have any Xavier in my main lineup, maybe Scruggs. The cheap shooters are going to project well. Your Odoms and Kunkels and your Johnsons, those are GPP guys. You know, you could get a 4 or you could get a 25. Fremantle, I think he probably plays 25 here. We played him the other night in what we thought was going to be a close game, and they just kicked the shit out of whoever they played. I can't remember.
Moorhead.
You know, they're up almost 30 at halftime, so they kind of pulled off the acceleration with Fremantle. Would have been nice, but I think that we want to be early on him at 6'8". I think Fremantle is one of the best GPP plays on the entire slate. Last thoughts here before we move on.
Yeah, let me ask you, rank considered Kunkel, Johnson, Greg Elliott.
Kunkel, Odom, and Elliott?
And Nate Johnson, those 4. The 3 Xavier guys and Greg Elliott.
I think I'm playing Kunkel, then Elliott, probably not considering the other 2 personally. I don't know. I don't play Nate Johnson.
Yeah.
He's just not the type of guy that I roster. So
yeah, Johnson's probably last. I'm probably Kunkel, Elliott, unless I need that 400, then I'll probably just go Elliott. But I was interesting because there's a couple options you can go right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the highest total on the slate. So you definitely want exposure, especially in GPPs. It's just like what we said, Xavier is such a good team that there's a lot of mouths now. You know, this is not a two guy team anymore like it was last year. So that's the risk. For me, for this game, it's going to be Lewis and maybe Scruggs. But, you know, you do have a bunch of pay down options. Moving on, we got West Virginia, UAB. This is, I believe, the lowest total in the slate, Gavin, 132-ish. UAB's favored here, -4. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
Starting to feel like it's a little bit of a buy low on West Virginia. But the thing is, you know, you talk about for DFS, I think this is it's pretty close to being the lowest total. Like it's not just on an island by itself, but you got West Virginia running the slowest pace that Bob Huggins has run in pretty much almost a decade. And I think this is just going to be a meat grinder of a game. Just there's and UAB is a complete DFS mess with their rotations. You can take a stab on the two higher end guys in Jackson and Walker, but I tend to want UAB guys and taking a gamble on them in games that I know that can get more up and down tempo wise, because they all got some pretty good steal equity as well. But this matchup, I mean, this is pretty freaking gross. So I'm, for the most part, like me personally and the way that I play, I'm probably crossing this game out completely. That being said, you kind of go and we can get into this. I'll let you get into to some of the plays here, since I just said I'll probably be crossing it off myself.
Yeah, same. So I think it's a cross off for me. I want to ask you about one thing though. So McNeil's back, right?
Yeah,
he's 5'3" here.
Mm-hmm.
UAB is really tough inside, but they really give it up from outside. I think McNeil is not a core, like one lineup piece, but I think if you're playing multiple lineups, I'm going to want some Sean McNeil here. He plays 36 minutes in this game, probably.
Yeah, him and Taz are just playing as much as they can until they ask Huggy to take him off the court.
Yeah, so I think McNeil is definitely in play here just because of the stylistic matchup. But honestly, I think we can kind of move on quickly here. I think he's the only thing. I think
Buffin is a little bit in play. He's going to project well. It's not my kind of play either. I agree with you on McNeil, and I think Buffin's going to project well. But I think in the context of a different slate, I'd be playing McNeil at 5'3". But with this in terms of kind of the pricing that we have for the two highest total games, I don't find myself a ton in that kind of mid 5K range when there's such good spend downs and such good spend ups.
So with Buffin, do you think his minutes coming down are because of the blowouts recently, or I just feel like they're just playing too many guys?
It's anybody's guess for how the UAB rotation shakes out on a game-to-game basis. Who knows?
2 games ago, they played. Did you see who they played 2 games ago? Are you looking at their KenPom page? They played a school called Millsaps, Millsaps. Millsaps.
Sounds like a prison.
They beat the Millsaps prisoners 103-29. Unbelievable. So for me, I probably won't play anyone from this game. Just is not the type of environment that I like to attack on a 7-gamer. Should be 8-gamer. So let's move on. We got what's next here? We got
another meat grinder, Providence, UConn.
And UConn. This is it's a classic Big East grinder. This one is going to be, Gavin. What do you think?
Yeah, Providence plus 7.5 was one of the closest plays that I didn't end up betting, but almost did. That when you're getting 7.5 points in one of these Big East matchups like that, you're almost just kind of, blind bet it with 2 teams that are relatively close, in terms of Providence and UConn, but UConn's getting Tyrese Martin back and Sanogo has not been ruled out yet. So it's like, oh shit, both those guys back, maybe they do get up for Providence, but I still think I'm leaning towards the Providence side. Didn't bet it. But this is going to be an ugly one for DFS, surely.
Got to interrupt you real quick. Terrence Shannon's not in for Texas Tech. I'm not sure if that game's already locked.
That game is locked, and I had him. Phenomenal.
Looks like he's not going to play today.
Well, there you go.
So, you punt off a showdown. It happens. So for me, Providence, I do like the plus 7. I just it's hard for me to see someone winning this game by 10 points, right? It's just going to be a grinder. Providence is not going to run away from anyone. We know that. For DFS, I'm not seeing anything on Providence. Do you like anything on the Providence side? I just feel like this team has been overpriced all year. Like, you want to play Nate, but he's such a
doesn't like rebounding anymore.
What's his rebound rate on the year? Let me pull this up. Nate Watson, 15% rebound. He has a lower. Oh my God. He has a lower rebounding rate than
Tyrese Martin for sure.
yeah, no, I was gonna pull someone up that like doesn't rebound. He has a lower rebounding rate than Dane Goodwin, Gavin. Which is just pathetic. You know, he's such a big bastard. He should just be just hoovering rebounds. So for me, no plays on the Providence side. Do you like any of these guys before we move on to UConn?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know why Providence has just been habitually priced up every slate, why they just have these ugly totals. Just mind blowing. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to one. I don't even think I'm going to get close to a Providence piece.
Now the UConn side, we still have some value here. Why don't you walk through who you like on UConn? I think there are 4 guys who are in play here, maybe 5.
Yeah, RJ Cole's priced out with the return of Martin, or at least he's not the kind of percent floor guy. He had a great floor when all these guys were out, just given the shot rate, how much he was in every minute. But we've seen Sanogo get in the game and literally shoot the ball on 12 straight possessions. He's a nutcase if he plays. But I'm tending to look more on the value side for this UConn team, and kind of like Justin Lewis. I'm a big Andre Jackson guy. Just one of these freak athlete guards who can put up gnarly peripherals in a double-double on any given game.
Yeah, I got to jam that 8% shot rate.
He got almost double-double last game. He had 9 and 11.
I know.
But his minutes probably go from mid-30s to low 20s with Martin back. So he's definitely getting thinner, and compared with the other spend downs, I don't know if it's as interesting. But has a Cook force his way into more minutes, even if Sanogo comes back?
I think a Cook has to be on the court, right? He's kind of carried them through this. They've lost 2 in the stretch, right? But I feel like they were in the games because he played so well, right?
I mean, he can spread the floor on offense. He's an elite interior rim protector on the defensive end. It's just a great piece to always have on the floor, especially if you have some big donk like Sanogo who cannot move his feet in the paint for the life of him. A Cook can definitely go on a tougher defensive interior matchup.
Yeah. So we started the show talking about how we're trying to find guys who are going to be 1,000 more expensive next slate. This is a guy that, honestly, when I opened the slate, Gavin, I thought was going to be $5K, right?
Yeah.
So he's 3.7 here. I think a Cook is one of the best plays on the slate, honestly. I think that he's better than all those Xavier guys in the same range. I think a Cook is probably going to be in my core today on Run Pure. I'll give that one away. You do introduce some risk with, so Martin is confirmed coming back and Sanogo is game time call, right?
Yeah, it has not been ruled out is the way that they phrased it. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So a Cook becomes a little bit hairy if Sanogo comes back, but I think that he's earned at least 20 minutes regardless. I mean, I think
the problem is Whaley. Whaley's going to be there, and shit, Isaiah Whaley is always 2,001 minute away from planting his butt back on the bench. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they roll out all 3 of them.
Yeah. So this slate goes until 7 Eastern. So you do have some pivot opportunities. I think there's some good plays in the late game. So like if Sanogo comes back, I think you still can play a Cook. If he's out, then I think he's just a lock button though. You agree?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just talk real quick. I think Cole's a good GPP piece. He is hurt by Tyrese coming back. I think Tyrese is interesting, dude. He's 6'5". I think he steps right into 28 minutes here.
I don't think anybody will really play him.
No one's going to play him. Hawkins is just a bitch. I'm not playing him. God, he really hurt me.
He's a year, maybe 2 away from really contributing on that team, but he's got some upside.
Yeah, I think that we use him next year. But yeah, I think that's all I've got from this game. It's going to be a Cook as a probably core play, and a couple options on UConn, probably passing on Providence. You?
Same.
Cool. All right. So next game is Houston, Oklahoma State. This is a 134.5 total. Houston -9. Wow, that's pretty deep. I think Oklahoma State's a really good team. They stumbled out of the gate, right? They took that loss to what was it, Oakland?
Yeah,
early.
by a point, I think.
Yeah, Oakland, and just Jamal Cain being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They've lost games to Wichita and to Xavier. They played Xavier
almost
really
lost
tough.
to Oral Roberts at home too. That was a hairy one.
That was on the road, actually.
Oh, that was, yeah, you're right. That was at Oral Roberts.
And then Cleveland State, they went to, yeah. So like I think, my uncle there, the head coach at Oklahoma State, is trying to figure out who to put on the court, right? He's got what seems like 9 of the same player. He's got 4 guards who are the same guy, and then 5 forwards who are the same guy, and none of them can shoot. The good thing is that it seems like he's cut down the rotation a little bit. He was playing 10, 11 guys to start the year. Excuse me. In that Xavier game, we saw him really only play 7 guys, which is good for us, right? Like we've been banging the drum for Avery Anderson to get more minutes this entire season. The last couple games he's seen over 30. I'm a huge Avery Anderson fan, but I'm rambling. What do you think about the game overall?
Yeah, it could be. You mentioned that nobody can really shoot on Oklahoma State. You're not wrong. And if you can't score from the outside on Houston, I mean, you don't have a prayer at keeping the game close.
Yeah.
Now Oklahoma State's got a couple of really athletic, bouncy, long front court guys. But like you said, they're kind of all relative clones of one another. It's not like they have a lot of diverse skill sets on the court. And so look, I tend to think that they're a better dog. They're not a good team to lay points with, but I don't know if this is the spot I want to get Oklahoma State at. I mean, we got Sasser confirmed back from the turf toe. And I think Chaney is back as well from the hand. I think Tremont Mark is still iffy with the shoulder. I haven't seen any confirmation on him.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Tremont's going to be out here. Actually,
I think so. I tend to think so. If I felt like if he had a chance to play, they would have called him, questionable or a game time decision when they released the Chaney and Sasser news.
Yeah. I think they're just waiting for after the break or something, maybe.
Yep.
So all right, so let's walk through that then. All right, so Tremont Mark is out. We saw, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? This was the news that made that entire slate, right? Because Taze Moore crushed a slate, Fabian crushed. So
Small
now we have Sasser back. So that's taken what, 20 to 25.
There goes 15 shots up in smoke right there.
I think we still have some good plays here, though. I think Fabian and Shed are clearly in play here. Do you have a lean between the two of them? And just kind of talk me through.
You got to include Tajay too.
Yeah,
include Tajay more. I think that he's going to have the biggest ceiling out of those 3 guys, especially when you're talking about Shed and Tajay. Fabian out of Shed, Fabian White, and Tajay Moore. Fabian's definitely got the biggest ceiling because Reggie Chaney's by no means an athletic, powerhouse. And with that hand that he's been dealing with, I think he's really in there more for, rim protecting and kind of being a screener and facilitator more than a scorer. But the fact that Sasser's back, and then you're talking about splitting it with Shed and Jamal Shed and Tajay Moore makes it tough. So I'd probably go Fabian 1. I don't know if I would go Tajay below Shed. Shed got he's been getting shot happy. I'm probably Fabian 1, Shed 2, but I think you got to consider Tajay at 3 as well.
Yeah. So for me, I think Moore is hurt the most by Sasser coming back. Just because it seemed like he kind of took over that Sasser role. where Shed was still handling the ball. I think Shed's going to continue to do that. He's been really damn good, dude. 47.5% assist rate last three for Shed in just max minutes. I think Shed's very safe here. Their team total's above 70. I worry a bit because I think Oklahoma State is better than they've played, right? And they're really tough to score on inside the arc, just like Houston. This is the game that I'm most concerned ends up like 58-52, you know? But without Mark, I think that Shed is a borderline like core play. I mean, he's been so good. And Fabian, Gavin, if I told you that Fabian is playing 32 minutes today, would you play him at 5'7"? He played 36 last game.
I know.
And he just took a shit right on you, didn't he?
I know, dude. He literally took a
who did you play?
No, we're not going to discuss. We're not. I don't want to have to jump off my balcony, please.
We have to talk.
Let's not go into it.
It was Tuesday, right? And Gavin and I are talking. The Houston news drops, and Gavin texts me. He goes, "I think I'm going to play Juwan Gary over Fabian White." Sure.
It's one of those, we get the late news and you got to make your decision quick. And I shit right down my legs. Sue me. You know what? It costed me a lot. Of money. So I already won.
I'm pretty sure you take down that slate if you play Fabian, by the way.
I probably do. Yeah. I had Tajay. I mean,
yep.
Yeah, it's this. I think I have the same concern. This game could get real ugly.
Yeah.
And there's some.
No, I think that your concerns last game were valid with the front court, right? They just didn't play Roberts at all.
Yeah.
Probably because Fabian was out there just swinging his dick around, and he just has to be on the court, right? I think he's their second best, maybe third best player, definitely in the top three. Sasser, Edwards, Fabe. I think Fabian is an awesome play here. Probably projects pretty well.
Got to at least mention Bryce Williams too. I mean, the guy just has gone nuclear, against Cleveland State and has shown some pretty good ceiling at 4.8.
Yeah, and I was just about to move over to Oak State. So yeah. Go ahead.
But yeah, if your uncle is condensing this rotation, and like we said, Houston is as difficult as they are to score against on the inside. I mean, Bryce could have some good 3-point upside here. I don't know that he gets 19 shots and 10 threes in this spot. But hell, you get 12 shots from him in this scenario. He's got easy chances to pay off value, especially he's had a pretty good amount of rebounding too in some games. So I think Bryce at least has to be in consideration too.
Yeah, Bryce, is a 5-star recruit last year at KU. Or no, that was Bryce Thompson. Sorry. So Bryce Williams' role has really increased the last couple games. Thompson missed the last one. Do we have news on him here? Bryce Thompson?
Not that I've seen yet.
I think he's probably going to be out again. But even if he does play, his role, I don't know. This Oak State team, their rotation bothers me. Even though he's condensed it, I feel like this is a Leonard Williams thing, right? Where he could just go back to playing 11 guys at any point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it can't get wacky.
I think Avery Anderson is the best play on the team, but I'm not, and I know that you're with me on this, I'm not rushing out my door to jam guys against Houston on a larger slate. I'll probably pass on Oak State. I think Bryce is a good play. If Bryce Thompson is back, I think that hurts Bryce Williams enough where he's not, like a 5x play. So yeah, for me, it's Anderson and Bryce Williams. Bryce being a worse play if Thompson is in. Anything else here before we move to the last game?
Nope. Let's get to the good one.
So this game is, I think, 7 Eastern. So we'll be pretty tuned up by then. LSU minus 10.5. Is that where it's at? Wow.
Will Wade, the bag man, has just, kicked the snot out of other Louisiana in-state schools since he's been at LSU. It's pretty wild. Yeah, man. This is a really good team. LSU has impressed me
a lot. I watched that Georgia Tech game. I watched the Penn State game around Thanksgiving. They're they're really good defensively. So we come in here. Lofton is questionable. I can let you talk about Lofton, but for me, I'm not sure if I want to play him just because this, like what I've seen from this LSU interior, they are scary, man. Eason is playing his nuts off. Darius Days is in there. Efton Reed is good defensively. Yeah. What are your thoughts overall on the game? And start out with your thoughts on Lofton too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always someone who, all else being equal, I'm going to try to hold a lot of pieces for the Hammer game, and especially when it's this good of one. Yeah, I definitely got interest in a couple places here. You mentioned the turnaround that LSU's made on defense is just incredible year over year.
Yeah.
In that Penn State game, they started playing Tari Eason or Efton Reed basically at the top of a 1-2-2 zone.
Yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it?
Dude, I mean, having a 7-footer out there with foot speed, like who can just get close to guards and run them off the three.
Yeah, they just can't.
I'm curious.
Georgia Tech, sorry, they just couldn't initiate offense. Like they just could not start their sets. I mean, this team's really fucking good. I was hoping that this would open up under 10 so we could bet them. But this could be a live spot, Gavin. If you see La Tech go up, 6-0 or 8-2 or something, and you get LSU inside 8 or so, I think that's what I would look for personally.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder what they do with those two bigs. I wonder if they plan them both down low with La Tech being so reliant on Big Kenny. I mean, I don't know what was in the water for that under 18 dude, but like that's Kenneth Lofton, that's Ben Matherin, like Mike Miles, all these dudes who have just been crushing this year. Like, I mean, Lofton, if you haven't seen Kenneth Lofton Jr. play, this is one of the coolest guys to watch in college basketball. He's a beer keg on legs with Russian ballerina footwork. It is awesome. A spectacle to watch. Him being questionable, we have no idea what the hell happened last game with him being out. But that being said,
there's been no reporting on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can bet I'm going to have him in my lineup, and I'm going to be watching for news with $100 extra in my back pocket to the point where if he's ruled out, I can just go right up to Tari and keep playing.
Yeah, so I think that's a important thing to note is if you've got Kenneth Lofton in your lineup, make sure you have an extra 100 because if he's not starting, he's probably out, and you're going to have to get to Eason or you're going to have to get to a Darius Days. So you're going to need that extra 100. So you think that Lofton plays here? Let's assume Lofton's in. Okay. Is there anyone else on La Tech that interests you outside of him?
Not really. Kobe Williams feels thin.
Because I'm looking at the projections and there are a couple guys who project pretty well.
Yeah, Kobe Williams. I mean, he's gotten hot the last couple games. This is a much different matchup in terms of what he's going to face on the defensive end than Louisiana Lafayette and whatever LSU-S is. I don't know, whoever La Tech played last game, but
that is LSU Shreveport, and they only beat them by 14, by the way.
Oh, God. So, yeah, Kobe Williams has to be in that pool of, pay down guys. It's a big pool of these budget guys today. So it's going to be hard to get down to one line, man.
Yeah, man. Like, it just seems like there's a couple teams on the slate that are teams that I'm not rushing to jam guys in against, right? Houston, I think this LSU team, we want to be early on as a really elite defensive team. I think that we were early on Florida being one, right? I think LSU is there, man. Like just watching that Georgia Tech game, Georgia Tech just could not start their offense with Days, Eason, and Reed just effing everything up at just the top of the key. But let's I think La Tech you can play Lofton for sure if he's in. I think you can play Kobe Williams, like you said. There's some guys who project well that I think are a little iffy. So David Green projects well. Archibald also projects well. I'd be a little weary of those guys. I just don't like the matchup. What about LSU for you? I think there are 4+ good plays on the LSU side.
Yeah. I think it starts with Darius Days. And I almost wonder, like, if we, this is almost when I almost think it might be better to not know of these guys to the extent that we do, because I wonder if we just blind resume Days versus Eason, like who has looked better this year. But I think it's got to start with Darius Days. I mean, Xavier Pinson at 5'6" is, he's got a lowish floor, but part of the reason why I wasn't back into the mid fives is because I think it's going to be hard to get away from him in this spot, especially if La Tech is going to try and get up and down at all. He's not, they blew out Northwestern State. He hadn't been playing the minutes, but he was, 30 straight for the 4 before that, in which they were playing, relatively good competition. This is, I think, another guy who
I have a question for you, right?
Is probably 6'6". Yeah.
So 5'6", you've got Xavier Johnson and Xavier Pinson. Who are you playing?
Pinson, no doubt.
Because of the game, or because
Xavier of the game, and because I think Xavier is a little safe. Well, I guess they're fucking both Xavier, but Xavier Johnson is just so foul prone, and like just to fly off the handle in the middle of the game, foul a guy, pick up a technical, second foul, out of the game like 90 seconds in. He's a nutcase, but I love him.
He has tilted the shit out of us this year, hasn't he? I think Days is a core play on the slate, Gavin. I think Days is probably my third core. His minutes have taken a little bit of a backseat to Eason, which is annoying. Eason, so I was not on the Eason train until I saw that Georgia Tech game. This dude is effing good. He was at Cincy, right?
Yeah, he was solid at Cincy, but he was just kind of like one of those defensive bigs, who never really got to shine.
Dude, he has been unlocked in this system. He's going to come off the bench, not going to give you 30. He probably plays 25, 28, maybe.
Yep.
I think he's an awesome GPP play. I think Eason, if you're down late and you've got Days and you have the 300, I love the pivot.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I do want to mention projections love Eric Gaines, who has been playing a ton. I'm going to keep going back to the Georgia Tech game. He's going to play nearly 30 minutes. He's kind of a wind sprinter, but in a game like this, I think he can get you to 20, right? At 3.6.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4+ boards in his last 5 games. I mean, he probably should be in the 4.5 to 5K range, not the 3.6. So I think another one of those. He's a really strong spend up budget option for you to consider in that pool that you got.
Yeah, no, I think he is definitely play as a punt, depending on the lineup construction you want. Him and a Cook, I think, are the 2 best cheap plays on the slate. Although there are a bunch of others that are in consideration. So here, just to kind of recap this game, we like Lofton, we love Days. Eason's a great pivot if you're down. If you're playing Lofton, have the 100 for Eason. I like Gaines a lot. Gavin likes Pinson more than I do, but I think Pinson's good. He is tough to trust. Like he's just wild, man. And he's not shooting as much with this team it revolves around the 2 bigs really now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the last game on the slate. Do you have any bets going today? We should give out the bets that we have and like a quick recap. Do you have any action going?
I'm on, we talked about UNC. I took Auburn -5.5. I think there's a little bit of value on them given how sleepy they came out in their first true road game against South Florida, in which they kind of barely squeaked by in an ugly slop fest barn burner.
Yeah, I
But
love
with
that,
Bruce
man.
Pearl, with Bruce Pearl coming back, from the suspension, I have a really hard time seeing these guys come out flat in this spot. Just with Bruce being back, he's as energetic as of a coach as you can find in the sport. So I really
Yeah.
like Auburn to take it to him today.
Yeah, just a quick note. Auburn is at -5 on FanDuel if you have the legal books. That's the best line right now.
There you go.
I'll put one in. I have Indiana today. We talked about it at the top of the show. I think Indiana plays really well in this spot. They're playing in Indy. Notre Dame had that win over Kentucky. I think we are higher on Indiana long-term than most people. And I think that they just match up really well with Notre Dame. I got them at 4. I think they're 4.5 now. And then I'll give one more. We're both on UNC. We mentioned that earlier. I got them +2.5. I think you said that it's gone to 3 now. I just think this is a wrong team favored. Again, want to be early on teams, right? Caleb Love has turned a corner. Baycott is not found like a dipshit. UNC is going to be trouble, man. I think they're starting to figure it out, and I think they play really well today. Anything else on the bets for you?
I still could end up betting Providence, kind of regardless of the injury news. I just think that's too many points for that game. But it doesn't make me super warm and fuzzy. The other one I'm looking at is North Texas +4. Anytime I can get Graham McCasland as a dog, it's just an angle that you at least got to look at. Wichita State. And then LMU +6.5 at Nevada. I know Nevada has looked a lot better since the AJ Brahma dismissal, and it looked like, or at least looks like, the way they played the last 4 or 5 games, that he was clearly a locker room, malfunction and cancer. So
yeah, he has been his whole career.
I don't know if it's just smoothed the path for Cambridge and Sherfield, but LMU is a tough team to play with that kind of inverted offense where they basically play, Eli Scott down on the block as kind of a point forward and run the offense out of him. It's kind of a tough one to get a hold of. I think there's a little bit of value there. They have a chance to, I think, outright Nevada at home, just with Nevada probably getting a little bit pricey, having played well about 4 straight games. And Nevada's a high variance team. They can come out, if they're not hitting shots any given game, they can get beat by anybody.
Yeah, so we have a question in the chat for you. We have a Matthew Gajewski who's asking if you're betting on Marquette today. They are +10.5 against Xavier.
I wanted to, but Xavier's so goddamn good. Oh man, not yet, but let me get a couple of pops in me, and if I get 2/3 of the way to Helen Keller by the time that tips, I might be down to gamble a bit.
All right, we're at about an hour here. Let's give a couple core plays and sign off so we have some time to view news. I think my core plays, TJD is going to be in my lineup. Cook, Wesley, I think are my 3. What about you?
Wesley, Days.
Oh, Justin Lewis.
And Justin Lewis.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, he gets priced down 1,000, and we're not going to play him. I think Lewis is going to be on the Run Pure core plays for sure today. So just to rehash, we had the SaberSim deal that just expired. We've got our RPS Heater 25 is the current promo going. 25% off your first payment for a monthly sub. I know the bet side has a really cool promo going for Gavin. I'm not even sure if you know this. I think they're doing a subscription for only Keg's live show. So you can talk about that for a bit since you're on that
I got.
more
I don't have
more
any
than I
idea
am.
what the hell's going on. I'm the unpaid intern. I just show up and yell
No,
at
but you
kegs
can
most of
talk
the
about
time.
the show. I think that Keg's live show is one of the best. I tweeted about last night. Yeah, it's super innovative. You watch the games and the fights, and you get to see who I think are some of the best live bettors on the planet react to things and put their bets in live. So there's a promo for that. It's on Twitter at Run Pure Bets. Anything else from you, Gavin?
No, let's someone take down a Slate. If it's not you or I, one of these mutts watching. Hopefully, you guys do.
Someone in the chat said rumors Urban Meyer kicked Kenneth Lofton in the leg while he was stretching. Oh, that's great. Yeah, so that is it for us. Thanks for hanging out. Cores will be up on the site for the members, and I'll be in Discord all day for the main slate and for the night slate and for every slate from here on out. For Gavin, thanks to Helmet for hosting us on this Saturday afternoon now. Thanks, everyone. Run Pure.